Hi, welcome to Misaligned Learning. I'm Jackie, and today we're going to talk holding edges. So what are holding edges? Holding edges are essentially the edges that we add to lock in the shape that we're modeling. Now we have some control over how tight or wide those holding edges are, and also where we put those holding edges and the effect they have on the final model. The reason that we're adding holding edges is because we're modeling mesh that we're planning to put through a smoothing process, most likely at render. So if we have a shape like this lovely weird cube here, and we want it to stay like that, we would have to add holding edges around it. Now here are some different ways that holding edges have been applied so that we can see the result. This first one has holding edges just around the cube-like foundation shape. The second one has holding edges in rings around these cubes that are extruded out. This other one here has holding edges defining those cube shapes. And then this last one has holding edges on all the defining volumes of our shape. So now let me turn on a smoothing effect with our preview setting here, and we can see how different they look when they go through smoothing. This first one without any holding edges turns into this blob. Then we have this cube, and the cube is retained, but these remain soft. This one had the rings around, so those are starting to turn a little bit cylindrical. And then over here, this is soft with the hard cubes sticking out. And the last one, the whole thing is defined as a series of cubes. Now, if we increase the resolution, let's say to our preview of something like this, what this means is it's going to go through a subdivision process of 3 subdivisions at render. So we're going to end up with a more refined final model if we do have something that's super low resolution like our first example. Now let's also talk about how tight these holding edges are and what that can do for our different shapes. Let me first turn down my subdivision level to turn that off. And now let's look at how it plays out on a cube. So here are a bunch of cubes with holding edges on these 3, but they're of different tightness. The first one, they're very wide, and then they get gradually tighter. If we turn on our subdivision preview of 1, we can see the effect here on our models. This first one is going to have a much softer corner where the holding edges are wider, and then it gets tighter and tighter to the point that it almost looks like the original with just subtle smoothing happening on its corners. If we increase this resolution, let's say to 2, we can see that we have less faceting and our resolution level is increasing, but still our final shape remains soft, tighter, and tighter. Let's turn this back off and look at it with one more shape example. Let's look at a sphere. Now here, we've added some holding edges around this single edge. It's worth noting that these holding edges aren't continuing the flow of the volume. They're simply dropped in to flatten these areas out. And then they get tighter and tighter. Let me turn on our subdivisions to 1 so we can see the effect here. And we can see where it's pinching it off and disrupting that round-like shape. But it's getting tighter and more crisp at this final example. And if we increase this resolution, we can see a more refined final look, but still our softness gets gradually sharper. I hope that clears things up for you. If you enjoy my demos, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoy these demos, please subscribe to my channel.